And you guys please pass this around and make sure that these people get it. These two ladies and that lady up there hasn't received it. If you can help out with that, I appreciate it.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you all for coming out for our 11th meeting of Winona Mason County, Kentucky. Definitely a cold one out there tonight, so thank everyone for coming out. Introduce myself a little bit. My name is Max Moraine. I'm the executive director of our group. And gotta say, we've learned a whole lot of new stuff, and we hope to share a lot of information with the best we can with you guys tonight. So, just to recap, from old business, from the last time we met, we recapped several things that we've learned across the country, the states, and general advice on that and everything. Our guest speakers that we got tonight, we have Mike Russell. He's going to tell us a little bit about data center job sites. We have David French who's going to give us an update on what he learned from the governor's conference on energy and environment. And is Alan here? Is he here? Not here yet. Okay. We'll play it by ear when he gets there. So, for new business tonight, first thing that we'd like to talk about, which was for the old business, is the Veterans Day Parade in downtown Maysville. We're still considering getting a float put together, a truck and a wagon, maybe some square bales of hay that have people sit on and everything that has some stuff.
So this gives us a valuable opportunity to show our numbers. So we're asking people to come ride the float, wear your red shirts, okay, just so that they can see our smiling faces. We can focus on coordinating a truck and trailer, so you won't have to worry about that. We just need people to show up for the event, okay?
Thank you, Pam. So moving on, so a little update from the last fiscal court meeting, which was on the 14th of October. Nothing major was really discussed, but at the end of the meeting, Joe McKay announced that he's not seeking re-election. So do keep that in mind, because right now half the fiscal court, Joe McKay and Peggy Fram are not seeking re-election, so do keep that in mind. An update from our visits with the city and county officials. I myself and Derek Butler and Mike Moran, we visited with Owen McNeil and his guests that he brought with him. Lasted about an hour and a half, and then we also visited with Chris O'Hearn, Commissioner O'Hearn, and that meeting was with me, Mike Moran, Derek Butler, and Anthony Chandler, who unfortunately was not here tonight. And and we'll move right on. All right. So, Mac, where are you? Want to come on up here and give us a little insight on what you see?
As y'all know, I'm not against this coming in. I don't want to come in here. I work for Max and Crane a while ago. I can tell you all what every one of these are in the United States and tell you the cons. Oh, it ain't gonna benefit Mason County. You ain't gonna get no payroll revenue tax off from it. You're not gonna get nothing. And these NDA deals, they need to stop. Us as citizens of Mason County elect y'all to do a job and let us know what's coming in, what's going to benefit the county. So why are we trying to do an NDA deal behind closed doors when we know it ain't going to benefit the health class payroll taxes, employ people for citizens of Mason County? They can tell you it's going to be 1,000 employees. But 1,000 employees are working for a major contractor that specializes in this stuff. that's gonna find a local union hauler, represents this area, bring them people in to work. The only employees from Mason County that might help work is what I call slaves on the job site. They're gonna go around, pick up trash, keep the area clean, and this and that. They're not gonna make $40,000-$50,000 off of this project. The only one's gonna be, it's gonna be your company for Clayco, Bechtel, Hit, all of them. I've been taking cranes to these job sites for 9 years, and no, it don't benefit nothing in no community that goes in. And I've sent Max Moran a short video clip of country music song John Rich, where the TVA, the Tennessee Valley Association, was wanting to build a new power plant on farmland like this, and 90 miles down the road, Obama shut a coal-fired power plant down and everything, and John Rich reached out and backed the TVA that not done it, and made them go to something that was already existing for industrialized area to keep their farmland. So if y'all want to keep the farmland here, we need to all stand up. I grew up right down here on top of Dover Hill. No Mr. French and everything, so, and all that, no Mr. Wins and everything. But the thing is there's already something in this area classified as industrialized. Let's push it across the river to Ohio where the Stewart Power Station was at. If the gentleman here for East Kentucky says he's going to try to build their own power plant to do his own power, why not can't he do it over in Ohio? Something that's already industrialized and everything along the body of water to keep the farmland here in Mason County. I mean, yes, it's my job to move cranes to these job sites, but I'm also from Mason County also. I don't want to see farmland be used and everything, and 10 years down the road, it'd be abandoned and it gets shut down because it didn't work out as planned. Because once it goes to industrial with all the concrete and everything, you can't take it back to farmland. Look at all the places in Mason County that's abandoned and stuff that cities want to tear down. I mean, other than that, I don't want to see it come in here to NDA deals. That's what's got my blood boiling. Because we all, as citizens of Mason County, should be able to elect what we come into this county to help provide for everybody in the future. Not to make some elected official pocket fatter, because I have seen it throughout the United States, that other citizens are mad because their elected official was getting kickback off of this just to take prime farmland. So, I don't know what you're all thinking on it.
Where our thinking is?
Well, I mean,
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Matt. Thanks for talking.
Excuse me, our public comments are at the end.
Oh, okay.
I'll do that at the end.
well, I mean, I don't have nothing else to say. It's just that I know from experience that after they get built, it downs everything in the community. Because there is a motel, I see motels every night. There's a motel 20 miles from the one in New Albany, Ohio that is going on right now that has lost water pressure. Lost customers that stay there frequently for other jobs that's in the Columbus area and everything and stuff, due because they don't have water pressure. The water is, I quit staying there 3 years ago because of the water being ground in this floor, but trying to take a shower. And now I gotta drive 35, 40 miles almost back to Columbus just to get a motel to stay. And the noise ordinance there, it sounds like a B-52 bomber airplane after it got going on.
Next, our guest speaker is David French, who gives a little update on what he learned at the governor's conference.
Well, I'm not a real good public speaker, so I've got a lot of notes. If y'all don't know me, I am the manager, operator of Western Mason Water District. I've worked there for the last 37 years. A little bit about our company. We pull our water from the Ohio Valley Alluvial Aquifer. We have 2 drill wells near Denver. We also have one of the best sources of water in the state. We do not do anything but add a minimal amount of chlorine and fluoride, which I'm kind of hoping that goes away But we have about 1,200 service connections. We have about 4,000 residents, and we serve the small communities of Dover, Monroe, Fernley, Highland Heights, and Durham. We also have emergency connections to Brackett County, Buffalo Trail, and Maysville Utility Commission. We currently produce about 10 million gallons of water a month to our customers, and we also sell about 4 million gallons of water to Brackett. But what I was asked to do was to talk a little bit about the governor's conference that I got to go to a couple of weeks ago. There was one session that was pretty interesting that I wanted to see was about building the next generation data center. And I was kind of shocked because the governor kind of opened up the state for data centers to come in here, but the take on what all I got from this was that the regulatory entities in the state are really not prepared on data centers as well. There was a moderator, his name was Dr. Ted Smith. He was a director at the Center for Health, Air, Water, and Soil from the University of Louisville. There was also someone from the Division of Air Quality, Division of Water, and Public Service. All of those entities are not really prepared, and there are really a whole lot of regulations in place for data centers in the state. There was a really good spiel from a Dr. Natasha DeJarman. She was the assistant professor of medicine at Louisville. And she mostly spoke about the quality of life and the people around data centers. She talked about health effects on our children, people with heart and lung disease, the effects of the heat, the water demand, the effects of noise and light pollution, and air pollution from the possible generators. A lot of this conference, or a lot of this session was centered on the unknowns and the health effects, and the quality of life for those who are remaining in the area. As a landowner myself, that's really close by, I'm concerned about the health effects as well, not only on the water side, but on the health side as well. As the session ended, they kind of talked about most of the burden being put on the communities. And they said it was up to our community leaders to find out more information about all this stuff before any decisions are made. After that session, we had a break, and I got to do one-on-one with Chair Angie Hatton from Public Service Commission. I expressed some of my concerns that we have with the water district, and she expressed some concerns that the Public Service Commission has as well. This is all new territory for them. They're kind of playing it by ear and trying to regulate utilities and do the best job they can. These sessions were recorded, and hopefully we'll get some copies of these recordings and stuff, and people can listen to what went on at the conference, because there may have been something I missed, something that I didn't really talk about. But for the most part, it was about health effects and what it can do to the people that are still remaining in the area. Now, what I wanted to talk about too, and this is just for the water side of things. For the water company that this data center is going to encompass, which is our territory, we haven't been told anything. We haven't learned anything from anybody. I will say I went to my office this past week, and we are going to speak with somebody. I think he's got a meeting set up with me maybe on Monday to do a Zoom call with somebody from this company. I don't care who the company is. I don't need to know names. I don't need to know a whole lot of that information. I just have a lot of concerns, and our company does as well. We work closely together. Our board, my newest board member was appointed in 2006. So we work closely together. We have a really good engineering firm, and we've surrounded ourselves with a lot of good people in the state that we work with. We're looking out for the company, we're looking out for the customers, and we want to do the best thing that we can for the customers that we have. Some of the questions that we are going to ask, and that have come up, and that I told them about If they pull from the aquifer, we're about 5 miles where our wells are from probably the area where they would be. I'm thinking the area they would be. So we really want to know what kind of effects it might have on the aquifer. If they do pull from that, if they don't and they pull from the river, then that kind of answers a little bit of our questions there. From the land contracts that have been signed that we have learned about, it's going to take probably anywhere from 10 to maybe 30% of our customer base. And with the revenue we generate, we're a nonprofit company. So the money that we generate goes back into the system. We've done a lot to our system over the years. We've upgraded, we've replaced everything, we've redone all of our tanks, and they're, as of right now, most of our system is new from 1991. There's nothing old that's still in the system except for one little tiny section of line that we have a project in place right now, and that hasn't been replaced because we couldn't get some easement signed for some landowners and there's some contracts. So that section's not going to be done. Plus, if that section's going to be taken out by the data center and replaced or moved, there's no sense in us spending the money on that. So that's another good question that we would like to ask. We know there's going to be a lot of probably relocating of our water lines. Now, anytime an industry or business comes in, they're responsible for the cost of relocating our water lines. So we're really not worried about the cost that it's going to entail. But there's going to have to be some planning going on between us, our engineering firm, this company, because from what I've heard, there will be new roads made into the place. Our water lines will probably have to be replaced, moved. We've got customers at the end of Tuckahoe that need to be served. So there's going to be a lot of things that are going to be in play. We have, we're regulated by Division of Water, we're regulated by the Public Service Commission, and all of those entities we have to have approval from them before we can do anything. So it's a long process and it's a timely process. So the sooner we know, the better off we'll be as to how to prepare for this. We also want to know, if there's going to be any runoff from the water that they do use for cooling, if that's going to make it back to our water supply, if that's going to affect our water supply in any way. I think that's most of the questions that we're going to be asking. We've just worked hard over the years. I'm passionate about the job that I've done and the job that our board has done and the condition our water utility is in. And I just don't, it worries me. I'm not against industry coming in. I welcome industry to come in, but I don't want it to hurt our customers in any way. With that 10 to 30% of our customer base maybe being lost, we are nonprofit, so therefore, all the projects we've done over the years, we have debt service to pay. We have loans to pay off. And if we lose part of that revenue, I don't want it to affect the other customers that we have. Their rates shouldn't go up because of this being lost. So that's another question. We're just looking out for the company, the best interest of the company and our customers. And that's what we're going to continue to do. That's what we do all the time. So that's pretty much my spill on everything. So I thank you for the time.
Can you hear me? No. It's on? Okay. All right, good deal. So, is Alan here? Do you know? All right.
Let me speak on his behalf. Last as transparent as we can. Out of the 100 flyers and doors we knocked on, this one gentleman, when he heard us speaking to his wife, he popped his head in there and he goes, "Oh no, not a data center." I said, "Yes, sir, possibly 3/4 of a mile from where you live." He said, "Well, I have worked with load units. I guess he tests the load for data centers, how much they're pulling or whatever." And he said, "They are so noisy." And he said, "It bothers you, the noise affects you." He said, "I was staying in a hotel close to the job site and could not sleep. I had to move to a hotel much, much farther away." So that's a first-hand experience, because I've been asked, "Have you been to a data center?" Well, I did drive up to New Albany, but since everything's under construction, I could not take any sound meter readings because they're not operational, and there's like dump truck after dump truck after dump truck driving by. But Mr. Elam was very serious in his concerns. So we invited him tonight. He said he wasn't, 100% sure he could make it, but I am relaying his concerns. Excuse me? We'll pop back to that. Since I'm up here, he said for me to do my part. Treasurer report. You're really challenging me here, Max. Now, where's that?
Treasurer reports that
Yes.
they're-
It's not gonna work that way. I gotta get out of this. PowerPoint does not like to share. So, here we go. Here's where we are. Not much has changed. We did get a very nice donation tonight from Mr. Mac Russell. Thank you so much, sir. We continue to penny pinch. As you can see here, we do have a balance, but we have bills to pay. So, our online fundraiser, $620. Our cash donations, $892. That doesn't include the donation you received tonight. Some of the new stuff, you've seen some of the September stuff. The new stuff is down here. The copies for the burning, door to door, and then the web hosting. We've been using Facebook, and we all know how Facebook is. Things get buried. You see an article you like, go back an hour later, you can't find it because it's far down in the list. So now we're going to have a website to be able to disseminate information to you in a more convenient manner. So let's go to the website. Okay, so this right now looks funny because it says RipleyOhio.net. That's because I'm using another website, another server to develop it on, but I'm going to move it over to our own domain shortly. This is very easy to use on your cell phone, and we'll just have our calendar of events, any videos where we've had a presenter and we've recorded it, we'll have that there. Any documents we need to disseminate, our online donation system, email, and this email includes our email as well as all of our city and county officials, in case you want to contact them, and our Facebook link. Okay, so our petition count is over 800. Now when you go to change.org, it's going to say 400 and some. Those are the online people. We have people who sign paper petitions as well. Okay, and over 500 and some of those are Mason County only, because I've gone through and done the data analysis, and those are Mason County zip codes. There are over almost 700 from Kentucky, so there's people in the surrounding area. We have friends and family who are concerned about this. They may not live in Mason County, but they come back to visit their families. So some of them have actually done change.org as well. But there's over 800 total. Then we've been asked about yard signs, okay? And word of mouth, we've been telling people where to buy the yard signs so they can get them at TNF, out on the AA, or you can order them from Phillips Sign Company. So all this information will be out there. As soon as the website, probably tomorrow, will be made available on Facebook, the link will be there, okay, so you can get to all of this. Let's see. And back to PowerPoint. And, okay, postcard letter writing. This one right here. I have some paper, and if any of you want to stay after tonight and write a letter to your county commissioner or the judge executive, I will collect those and make sure they get them. They need to hear our concerns. They are our elected officials. They are loyal, supposed to be loyal to our concerns, so they need to hear your concerns. The Highland Heights door-to-door campaign, I just want to say that Laura and I did that. If you want to say we saw 100 people, 99 out of 100 were nice. There was one person, she was in favor of the data center. She called the Mason County Sheriff on us. We were finished with our walk around and we're on our way, walking up the trailer park drive, up the hill, and come in, we see this black SUV coming toward us. And I look at Laura and, I said, I bet that one lady called. So, he was very nice. Deputy Ferguson was super nice. He said, I thought maybe there were some kids that were doing a horse kick on doors. He said, because we got a call that there are people out here knocking on doors. And I said, no, it's just one old lady and one young lady. We're harmless. We're just here to educate. I've been an educator for nearly 40 years. So I feel a commitment to educate people. Pros and cons, okay? And that's why we need to learn way more details about how this is going to affect us. So we want to go on and finish up with this or go back?
So, thank you, Janet. So, next part on this slide, I'll talk a little bit about LG&E Kentucky Utilities update for the PSC. I attended 2 of these meetings. The first was actually on my birthday in August 4th. I met a lot of people that day. First time I ever given public comment to the PSC before. It was a pretty interesting experience. It gave everybody 7 minutes to wish to speak. And there were several people who spoke that day. And it was a good meeting. The last meeting we went to, which was, I'm trying to remember, back in, I believe, September. Yeah, it's October. Okay. Well, it was this month. Well, anyway, it was held at one of the community colleges up there. There were several people who spoke up there again, too. But one thing that needs to be pointed out to people from this decision, which I was under the impression we have one more meeting, but I've been told last week, actually, the decision's finalized. And that's in part to our Attorney General. So he struck a bargain with LG&E and KU. They will be getting about half of their requested rates. So instead of it being $19 for a flat rate increase, it'll instead be $10. And that goes into effect January 1. So, and that applies to all KU customers in all 77 counties in the state of Kentucky. So in Mason County, I also learned, I wasn't entirely sure of how KU does their distribution. They pretty much just have all the cities of the state. So Maysville, Germantown, all the major cities. So everybody's going to be seeing a rate increase on the utility bill starting January 1, based on the deal the Attorney General made. And then moving right on from that, I'd like to also talk about, here recently, Mason County made some national news. I will say I wasn't part of that article. I'd like to take a moment to thank everybody who was in that article. So thank you everyone who was part of that. And I will say, talking with their investigative journalist, real nice lady. She's actually been following stories similar to this all over the nation. Some, for the most part, turned out very bad. There's very few that were good, but the ones that were good, they had heavy transparency. Heavy regulations that ensured the general population would not be affected in any scope of the realm. And I believe this story aired last night and yesterday from Lexington 18. They interviewed several people here too. And they shared a story, and I thought it was a really, really good story that highlighted many of the concerns from both sides. So, let's see, is there a better slide there?
Well, we want to give Luann her cemetery report, and then we go back to the events.
All right.
Luann? Luann here? There she is. She said it would be very easy, do you want the mic back there? She can do whatever she wants. Can I just? You want to go back there in the box?
I'm Luann Kilgus Mattingly. I know I talk pretty loud. I have always, I was born and raised in Maysville and Mason County. I am passionate about our area. I'm concerned about our land. I'm concerned about our history being erased. I'm concerned about the air. I'm concerned about the water. We have so much law right here in our town that we can capitalize on without a deficit. I've been on the cemetery board for quite some time, and I was cleaning out folders the other day, and I thought it was like a God wink, because I opened it up and it was talking about the Beasley Cemetery. And in the Beasley Cemetery is a picket field. Well, Elizabeth Pickett Chevalier wrote the book, Driving Woman, which is Tuckahoe Ridge. It's all about there. Tons of history. The book was in competition with the Von Witt book at the time. And Mrs. Aiken knew all of the fictitious, knew the real people from the fictitious names in the book. This data center is going to be right in the middle of it. It's history. Why don't we just capitalize on the history of our area to bring it in? So when I saw that, I thought maybe I should open up the cemetery list and start looking at what we were going to be disturbing. Orloff Miller in 2010 did a detailed study of all of the cemeteries in Mason County. So I called Bernice Court, who's also on the cemetery board, and where we don't know where it's going to go, but we guessed to see what cemeteries were in that area. Then we went against findagrave, Ancestry.com, FamilySearch.org websites to confirm who was a veteran, just if there was a pioneer cemetery. So I want you to hear these facts. These are facts. The total cemeteries, public and private, on the main spreadsheet are 87. This includes 4 slave cemeteries. This is the data set. There are 87 cemeteries in the area they want to put what we think the area that they want to put the data center in. 87 cemeteries. This includes 4 slave cemeteries. One is a mass grave of slaves that we heard about that were cholera victims, and it's just right over here back to the Methodist Church and the Black Methodist Church. Total burials is 2,761 people. Some of them aren't listed. Total veterans, 335. Some are not listed. But listen to the breakdown. These are our people. American Revolutionary War, 7. War of 1812, 5. Civil War, 62. World War I, 91. World War II, 95. Korean War, 13. Vietnam War, 21. Gulf War, 8. If there is somebody buried in a cemetery and they were living in the 1700s or 1800s, that's called a pioneer cemetery. 49. are we gonna put them? In Kentucky cemetery statutes on Kentucky Gov, it states that desecration of a tombstone, grave, or cemetery is a Class C felony offense. I don't know how this plays out if they take our land and sell our land. I don't have any land, I'm just passionate about the area. But when you look at these statistics, do we really want to tear up all these cemeteries? Like I said, 2,761. So think about it. Thank you.
All right. So, as we already discussed earlier, the Veterans Day Parade, that's the date and the time that it'll be on. Oh, wait, I'm sorry.
I didn't have the date and time back, so my fault.
Yeah, you're fine, I missed it. But, we'll get the date and time sent out to everybody. So,
It's on the 11th of
okay. So moving right on, these are all the next upcoming events that we highly encourage everyone to attend here in the month of November. The first is on November 5th, I believe is a Tuesday at 5:30. That's a meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Meets on the first Wednesday of the month at 5:30 in the Mason Municipal Building. The next meeting, of course, is Mason County Fiscal Court. This time, instead of being on the second Tuesday of the month, it's on Wednesday, due to being Veterans Day. It's normally on Tuesdays, but it's at 9 a.m. If you can attend this meeting, which I highly encourage you, everyone do, please do wear red and encourage new people to come. And then we also have on the 13th of November at 5:15, the City of Maysville Board of Commissioners. They meet on the second Thursday of each month at 5:15 at the Maysville Municipal Building. There's the address. They also live stream the meetings and they archive them to the city's YouTube page. And then for our group, our next regular meeting is going to be the 13th at 6 p.m. And we'll have a guest speaker of Bryce Gustin. wasn't even going to try to say that. Yes. And he's from Indiana Citizen Action Coalition. Over in Indiana, they were able to actually stop 11 data centers across the state. So, with that being said, so now on to our portion of the meeting where we open the floor up for public comment, for getting feedback from members of our group, the community, thoughts and opinions. So I can open it up now. Yes, ma'am.
It's Luann again. I forgot to say something, but also when I was doing the cemeteries with Bernice, a man came up to me and told me about some Indian places, on Big Pond Pike. And I just wanted to throw that out there. We're doing this. Would anybody help with the Indians and what we can find out about that? So afterwards, you can see.
Second, feedback on that. We've actually done due diligence studies on Big Pond Pike.
I will say, if you can, try to restrict it to 2 minutes if you can.
Yeah, that's fine. It'll take 30 seconds. We have done due diligence studies on Big Pond Pike. We have had 2 historical registered Indian burial grounds that we need to look at that were documented in 1917 that were confirmed not to be Indian burial grounds. So that's just that piece.
Are you from the group that's down there trying to come?
I'm sorry.
Are you from the group that's trying to come?
Yes, ma'am. I'm Tyler Deju. I'm from the Mason County Industrial Development Authority. Sorry, I should introduce myself.
All good. Anybody else got anything at the time I'd like to share or say?
Sure, I do. Hey, good evening.
2 minutes.
I wanted to
2
say
minutes.
Thank you for, letting us come out. I'm Owen McNeil, your Mason County Judge Executive. We've got representatives with, RECC, electric company. Guys, I'm here, nobody's looking to eradicate cemeteries, nobody's, everybody's out taking their land in the middle of the night. We brought a lot of jobs to Maysville and Mason County over the last 10 years, and very few of those projects did not involve what are known as non-disclosure agreements. Simple enough to look up. I, along with Mr. Tyler, Mr. Frank Thomas, been working with these guys, what I feel is the apex of the industry and the most jobs dense in the industry. And I feel like these people do what they say they're gonna do. I feel like we are a community that, regardless of how successful in activity we have been with EnviroFlight, PPI, all the way down to other projects, we've still lost a 0.5% population last year. A lot of our young folks don't have much reason to graduate high school and stay here or go to college and come back. And these guys represent that opportunity. If you have an opportunity, there's north of 9,000 data centers across the U.S. And they're not evil. They're synonymous almost with hospital. And the last point I'll make is my good friend from the museum, Ron Haley,
2 minutes, thank you, Judge.
brought up about.
I would like to address something. You mentioned job density, but that must be specific to the industry, because it has struck me
We can't hear.
for the amount of acreage that is being procured for this project. 9,000 to 10,000 acres, am I off? So, no, it's not 9,000 to 10,000. 8?
How many acres are they asking?
How many acres? Then, if it's not that.
Do you know how many acres?
If you'd like, we provide, I think they're behind Janice, we provide 50 copies of FAQs. I don't know if they'll be given out to
But to my point,
Those are all questions.
for the amount of acreage being procured for this, and versus the amount of jobs per acre, is minuscule. There is no job density.
Also, my concern is, why are you putting this in a spot where it's going to affect the lives of so many people where they're gonna have to relocate?
One speaker at a time, please, just so everyone here.
And then number 2, for an NDA, you say it's for these companies that they want to keep competition from coming in. What's wrong with competition? If it's a good deal, we'll like it and we'll want them. So I don't think signing an NDA thinking that that's the only way to get an industry to this area is necessarily correct.
It is rare to do a project with that non-disclosure.
But my point to the company coming in, if your offer is so good, you won't need an NDA.
Would you like to say something?
Well, I'm just looking at the area that they're wanting to take is gonna be a lot of people have to relocate. My mother lives in that, trailer park, and that goes, all them older people in there are gonna have to find a place. Why can't you build this somewhere where it's not affecting so many people to have to move?
Like across the river, like he said.
Yes.
Where there's always a stop. Everybody's got to finish.
Are you finished?
Yes.
All right, like you said, and I said before, the only voice gonna be able to build this thing is the contractors that's already got expertise in on it. How much payroll taxes is Mason County gonna grab off this for permanent employees to have a job to provide for their family after it goes in. So if they ain't gonna get $100,000 a year plus payroll taxes off from it to benefit the county, along with the speaker that they were knocked on doors saying that he heard the noise in a motel room and everything, that I spoke of the God's honest truth about it. And for 10 years, I've been around these data centers. I mean, it's my job to move cranes to these places to provide for my wife and my family and everything. But I do what I'm told. So if it ain't gonna bring 150 plus jobs to Mason County to help the newer generation to provide for their family and stuff, why you gonna let it go through? I mean, if everybody's a firm believer of God, Matthew 19:26, look at it.
Do we get any type of response to any questions?
If you'd like to, just keep it to 30 seconds if you can.
Well, I would say that the key performance indicators for the Industrial Development Authority have always been job and quality job creation. So no, we would not spend 1 year on this job in order to bring no jobs in. We have vetted this company, we have assurances of this company, and we're looking at hundreds of jobs. So finally, in the sheets that we distributed, we will tell you that these will bring career jobs to Mason County.
They ain't gonna bring career jobs. They ain't gonna bring 150 plus permanent career jobs to the county.
That is not finished.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Can I ask a
So-
question? Once we've had a chance to read the document that you provided, will you meet with us again?
My door is always open.
Well, we like to have you talk to all of us, not one-on-one. I'd like to have the family here talking about, because we do care about each other.
219 Stanley Ridge Street, right there in the alley. I'll be there from 7:30 in the morning till 5 o'clock every afternoon, every day. So anyone wants to come. And also, if you'd like to call me, I'm more than available, and also like my email address.
Thank you, Tyler.
We have an industrial park. We have jobs that can't be filled right now, and we have young people that wouldn't get anything. They wouldn't do a job if you gave them a fortune, they wouldn't. How do you think there's not gonna be any jobs in that? And if there is, how are you gonna fill them? You're gonna bring them from out of town? We don't need any out of towners. You know, we don't need it. We don't need it. I have 3 grandsons. They're looking forward to getting a job out here. Your jobs are on your merits. And we have an industrial park. We have a huge industrial park. You could do something with that instead of taking all of our land. You could do something with that. And like he said, why couldn't you move it over there in Ohio where there's already everything? Or why couldn't you move it out there in the industrial park? Maybe those people out there in downtown Maysville out there are too good for the fumes and everything that's putting on. We are known as the cancer center of the world already. We don't need and we don't want any more.
Can I respond?
30 seconds.
Well, I would say, sure, correct, we do have industrial parks, and we do have jobs, but a lot of the jobs that we attract, as you say, there are people in town who won't do these jobs. I've talked to hundreds of people that I've graduated with in the past 3 or 4 years that were around my graduation year from Mason County High School. They want to come back, but the opportunity is not there. This presents an opportunity.
Are you guaranteed?
Am I getting?
Are you guaranteed that they're gonna give us a lot of jobs?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
We have one speaker in the room.
Yeah, my name's Gavin Perkins, lived in Mason County for essentially the entirety of my life, a few years in Campbell County, and for all of my working career, I've been in industry, worked as a process engineer, reliability engineer, done a lot of project management. One of those things that we do in project management, though, when we have something going on, is we look at that project and see if there's been similar projects other places. And we go and evaluate those projects and see what works and see what hasn't. I think a lot of this, can be solved. Who's building this? and let's see some examples of what they built. And you may get community support. But until we do some of that, I mean, I don't know anybody that wants to take this huge risk of securing land, you know, securing all these resources and having unknowns. I mean, that's a concern. That is a valid concern from everyone here. I'm not anti-technology. I'm not anti-development. I may be for this if I knew the facts, but I don't know the facts. And nobody knows the facts. And that's the issue driving us. You guys sitting here may get community support if we knew the facts.
Well, Brandon Thomas with East Kentucky Power Cooperative. If you all have any questions about the project that I can share, I can't share the company's name, but I can tell you I've been to the company's headquarters, I've been to their facilities. I know that when I went there, they had 43 cafeterias that I could choose to eat from. This company is legit, and what I'm telling you is, this is an opportunity that the state of Kentucky has never seen. And what I'm also going to tell you is that there is a data center tariff that was passed today, actually, on the Service Commission. And I wanted to share this with you, just so everybody can see what is happening from your cooperative standpoint. Once again, we are a not-for-profit electric co-op, and I know I've got members of Fleming Basin Energy in the room. We as a co-op are not going to do something that's going to bring risk to our members. As this development, if it does take place, you're looking at opportunities not only from the data center, but also from the EKPC center.
Thank you, Brad. It's all the time.
You all let me know when you want more information.
I just want to I drove the area just between the Double A and North Tacoma Road. That's just 30 square miles of land right there. Not counting the other side of Double A, the old Conway Farm, and all the other stuff. Germantown Fairgrounds, they contacted all the way to Germantown. It's not even counting that.
Thank you, Dr. Gresham. Does anybody else wish to say something?
This is just a personal thing. Okay, so everybody on our road, all the farms have been contacted. All the farms have been contacted. So I go out on my front porch and I see the hayfield. I look out on my back porch and I see the cornfield, and they've all been contacted. So there I sit, right in the middle, and if that comes through, which we heard that there was going to be one data center, you can't tell me that one data center is going to come on 5,000 acres. That's going to be much, much more than that. So I won't be able to go up there at night because the lights will totally light up my house. I won't be able to breathe. I won't be able, and I probably will never see this. But my grandkids will. And we moved from Alexandria to get back to the country because this was our paradise. And we don't have very much land. We have 21 acres, but it's our paradise. And when my husband died a year and a half ago, I checked with you and with Victor McKay to make sure it was okay for us to have a family cemetery. And I buried my husband in our backyard. Not because I needed to be close to him every day, because I know where he is. He's not there. But the thoughts of this data center coming in next door to me just breaks my heart. And I'm personally talking about me. But I'm also concerned about the whole county, because 5,000 acres of data center will not be good for our county. We are a paradise. And my grandfather farmed here. And 5,000 acres of data center, you all, is going to be astronomical. And there's got to be another way to get people in here to work. There has to be another way. That's just mine.
Okay, this question's for Brad. All right. I'm concerned about the amount of power that they're requiring. If they're requiring 2.2 gigawatts, and you're gonna do everything in your power to deliver that, how are we gonna have any excess power for other industry to come in?
I'll make it easy. I know it's gonna be tough to do in 2 minutes. So, how many of you all realize we're part of the PJM interconnection as East Kentucky Power? PJM, very complex marketplace. It's the second largest electric grid in the world, the largest one in North America. The reason why East Kentucky Power is in it is that we are pushing power from the west side to balance out voltage issues that they have across the system. What that market allows us to do is every electron that we generate in the state of Kentucky, we sell into the marketplace. And then we buy back what's the lowest cost for each electron. So your power right here, right now, could be coming from nuclear, could be coming from natural gas, could be coming from coal. What happens is that marketplace allows us to serve large loads. What we've also been doing is not only leveraging the market, but we've also been building generation in our state. We are really the only electric cooperative in a position to have large industrial loads come into the state. Our EKPC and the co-ops that we work for cover 46% of the geography of the state. By pulling in power, Maysville is our touch point to the PJM interconnection. What that means is with Spurlock and that touch point, this is really a special place. The data center that has looked in this area, it's not going to go somewhere else in Kentucky because it will not work. It's looking at this area because you're blessed. You're blessed not only with the Ohio River, but you're blessed with that Spurlock power plant and that PJM connection point. This project's not going to go to Bracken County, it's not going to Jefferson County, it's not going anywhere else in the state. It's only works here.
We don't want it.
It's not up to you. It's not up to you. It's a lot of arrogance and cockiness to just force that on people in that way. Who the hell do you think you are?
Let me point out, there is no certainty this is coming. Let's
Thank you.
Just to follow up on that, are we sure it's just one that's coming? Because everywhere else where one comes, they all follow.
30 seconds.
So currently there's 65 data centers that have reached out to me to be located in the state of Kentucky. How many are going to move forward? One at this point. And will that happen? It's still to be determined. There's a lot of bad players in this data center world. I will admit to them, I've seen them, and I would run from them. But there are some good players, and you're blessed in the fact that one is really considering it.
But why are they trying to do 5,000 acres?
They're looking for buffer space and also where they can build this. Let's be honest, the terrain here is like this. Finding the spot that works is what's so difficult.
I have one question for all three of you. Lawyers, since they can't do eminent domain for a business, how come you're sending people from the power plant threatening people to take their land if they don't sign this? Well, I know 6 people that happened to.
This project has nothing to do with eminent domain.
You got 30 seconds.
I mean, fine, this project has nothing to do with eminent domain.
The project itself has said that they will not come to Mason County in the domain meeting.
Well,
I have a question about the grid. The grid.
Yes, ma'am.
My husband has worked for 44 years in transmission lines all over the United States. He has seen these grids, and right now, none of them are new ones aren't being built. They're just replacing or tearing down and putting new wires up, and that's all they've done.
What our tariff states that was passed today, the tariff that was passed today says that the company has to pay for the transmission. They have to pay for the generation. So when we start thinking about how this is going to impact the members of Fleming Mason Energy and the other folks, this is actually going to cause rates to stay steady or actually drop as the load factor across our system improves. I do, and we've already got that built in to the equations that we've done. And that's why it's and you bring up a great point, being so close to a power plant is why this works.
I have a question too. At the governor's conference that I attended, they were talking about nuclear energy. I know nuclear is not what it used to be at all. It's a whole lot safer. They have small package plants. Is this something that this company will look into if they need power? Is a small nuclear site there?
There will not be a nuclear facility tied directly to power. There will not be a nuclear facility tied to this data center. I will tell you that nuclear is you heard a lot of it last week.
Oh, yeah.
And what I will say is you're still 10 to 20 years off from actually seeing a nuclear plant in Kentucky. We have forbidden to have nuclear for the longest time to kind of turn back the laws, but people are starting to look at it again because coal plants, it's impossible to put another coal plant in the United States under current law. Natural gas, we as East Kentucky Power is in position to do a few of those here in the state. But once again, gas is a totally different animal than coal because if there's something that happens to the gas line, guess what? We lose power all over. So yes, nuclear will be a viable option, but not current.
Not nuclear.
Yes.
Not anytime soon. That's what I heard too. 2035, I think, was the nearest thing that anybody would
And that would be divine intervention at the time.
How many power plants or how many gas generators we put up in the project? How long will it take to do it? And where will it be?
All to be determined. But the one, you're gonna have power plants that are gonna have to be built. But usually it's about 4 years to get it up and operational. But the big thing that I would say is the company, by the agreement that we have in the tariffs, the company will have to be paying for the generation.
I just know that when they start building them, it's 3 to 5 years before it's completed. And there's gonna be heavy construction traffic. Don't know where it's going, there's gonna be roads put in, but I'm here to tell you, the Mason County roads will get destroyed with the amount of equipment that's gonna be coming in here. Because I know for a fact that if they get our crane that comes in here, and if I'm the one that hauling in here, I'm gonna be probably, depending on where it's coming from, I'm gonna be on 13 axles costing $230,000. And just like that one that got stuck over in Robinson County a couple weeks ago, that big tank over there off Kent Town, that was going to a new propane facility going out somewhere over there for their customers to have propane gas to be in that region to try to cut down on transportation costs. So imagine that piece of equipment bringing a tank in for these data centers and everything that's grossing $160,000, $180,000. Now I know for a fact that the cooling towers themselves come in here, they weigh anywhere from $500,000 up in weight and come in here on 32, 36 axles, and the roads cannot stand it. If you go to New Albany, Ohio, they are constantly putting fresh blacktop down just to try to keep it rough, from being rough. So, the double A is your main transit through here to get this in here. The double A is gonna be tore to pieces getting this up there for 3 to 5 years. Y'all complain about the intersection out there at 62 and 68 and stuff, about it being a cluster. Imagine driving out here for 3 or 5 years with a road that just ain't even gonna fix until it's done. Damage to your vehicle, damage to everything.
I'll answer that, yeah, you know, there will be damage to roads.
But the good thing, just like with electric, these guys have agreed that they're gonna, not only repave all those roads, taking that burden off the county and city, but also put in new infrastructure for us, along with paying for all the electric up front, paying for all the water service.
Hi, Connie Toller, I live on Arts Run Road. The people behind us are signed contracts, and we're a little teeny house in the middle of it. Nobody's contacted us, like Perkins, we're gonna be stuck there, I guess. But have you put any thought into the fact that 5,000 acres is a lot of acres in Mason County, and how many people that are gonna be displaced, and where are we going? There's no place in Mason County to go. There's nothing for sale, I've been looking. Where are we going? Have you thought about that with taxpayers? All that tax base is gonna be gone because we have to leave. We feel so betrayed.
That's something. That's a great question. But one major thing that we have been working on in this whole deal is there is a large neighborhood and residential developer who is interested, who has already purchased land in Mason County to build new neighborhoods, build different areas across the county. I know you don't want to move home. Yeah, I know you mentioned 5,000 acres. The important thing to also remember is these 5,000 acres are all being put through what we call a due diligence process. The due diligence process is to find out what works best. I mean, I could go out and go right now and tell you, yeah, this is all under options, it's all through an agreement. But what will be built on concrete is not essentially what will be used for the project itself. And you said Clark's Run Road. Okay. The south side, we're calling for the double A, is a contingency program that we're looking at for this, what we want to do with the north side with Eastern Kentucky Power. Mason County is not going to become data center capital of the world. We're looking for what works best for the community and for the project. 5,000 acres, there's not going to be 5,000 acres of concrete, I can promise you that. And when it comes down to who is coming, multiple different data centers, this is the only one we're talking to. I've actually said no to 4 other groups that have contacted me in the past 3 months looking to bring data centers to the area. We've vetted this company, we want this company. We don't want to be Northern Virginia. We want one group that sort of flips that domino to bring industry back to Mason County and make us viable for the future. We don't want to ruin our history, we don't want to ruin our culture, but we need something.
I'll be quick. All of you probably know, there's an old grocery store on top of Route 68. Still exists there today, but that was my grandfather's. Every day I pass that, and it brings back memories. My grandfather worked hard. He owned a lot, as far as a little bit of land, I shouldn't say a lot, a little bit of land out in Mays Lake. And he dearly loved farming. He had 16 kids, so that was his own sanctity anyway, for getting away from all the children half the time. He was very proud of this area. I went down in the car with him, and we would drive him to the top of the hill. I remember when the bluegrass where the Traxels is and where the other, I remember it all being all trees, and that sticks with me. I think we have something very special and beautiful here in Mason County that I want my children's children, my grandchildren, to enjoy this land as long as they live. And my concern is if these centers do come in, I have understood from speaking directly to engineers who are affiliated with East Kentucky Power, and they, in fact, have told me that they will make promises. They will make promises to the school system. They will make promises with jobs being created. That won't happen initially, but then the jobs will go. Because these are data centers. They are operated by AI. AI is artificial intelligence, as we know. So there will be no more, there won't be a lot of jobs. That's what I'm hearing. And I just want us to look into this, investigate it more fully, be open, and let's discuss this. I do have a lot of concerns about property values going down, so I don't know if a lot of generations will come here if the property values will go down.
You had said that eminent domain would not be used in this project, and I certainly agree that from that. But eminent domain is most certainly mentioned in it. Those two words for me were correct right off the bat. It wasn't a personal threat, but they were mentioned to me. We found some of the IDA would not use eminent domain. We found some of the East Kentucky citizens. And it put me, as far as me, yes, I did sign. It put me into the rest. So it was mentioned to me, most certainly, about you, I know it's not here tonight.
Will there be a stipulation in the 5,000 acres that they will not sell any of those 5,000 acres to other companies for any data centers in the future? And there's a stipulation, there will be a stipulation. And then the other, then I guess, I'm wondering why do they, and you may have answered this, and I'm sorry if you already answered this. Why do they want 5,000 acres? And then a part of sort of the tag on to that question is, if they're really not going to be covering that much of that 5,000 acres with cement, can they somehow provide some sort of nature preserve in that 5,000 acres left to the wild for people to enjoy? Because if they're not using it, then why let it, not be accessed by the community?
That's a great question, and something that we're working with right now with the project team is to not only incorporate walking paths and different things, but also parks. And we also had a large space of greenfield that we anticipate having for buffer zones to be away from neighborhoods and away from neighboring properties that we are going to work with farmers in the area. Yes, we realize this was a resource that we use right now. It's a green space, perfectly fine hayfield. Would you like to maybe cultivate and use the hayfield? Like long-term leases, short-term leases, however they would like to do it. But we're going to work with the community members who've worked the area before and say, there's 100 acres here, you can have it, clear it, take the hay, do whatever you want. There's also been conversations about with the FFA in the community, if we could possibly have a green space where they could do, experimental planting, do different research in the area. It's all on the very first level because we're still very early, not early on the project, but we still aren't to the point where we make any major commitments. But when we get to that piece, we want to work with the company to be good community partners to say, this was ag land, let's repurpose.
The other thing is, there will be contractual obligations throughout this, especially from the power side, but also from the water side. You understand that when we talk about from this county perspective, what they say is great, but if they don't contractually agree to it, where are we going to go? So that's one thing that they have been in discussion with us.
Why are we getting into discussion?
It's not
There's certainly some.
It's Luann again. I have two comments. When you do your own research, which we're all told to do our own research, I can't find anything positive that anyone says about data centers on Google or any of those places. The second thing is I'm very concerned with the low frequencies. I believe in frequencies as part of the health of all of us. And this low frequency sound is supposed to be heavier if you're closer to the data centers, and it even goes to where I am on Edgemont Road. That's a real concern for me.
So what happens to the property that's holding in?
So I have actually 3 questions. In my mind, the 5,000 acres, 22 acres of it will be like in New Albany, and there'll be 22 acres of generators. But they'll need that for the power because we don't have it in our infrastructure. My second part of the question is, that I find most upsetting, is why was our land sold so cheaply? Virginia's getting $124,000 an acre, Ohio's getting $130,000 an acre, and we sold out at $30,000 and $60,000. I don't think you guys did your research on the property and the acreage. The other thing that's not being mentioned is my question to you, sir, is what are you doing to control the auction prices of electricity? There's no way to tabulate that auction price. You can't say that the data center is using this, the church is using this, and Max is using that. There's no way to tabulate that. So that price, sir, will be passed upon us, the ratepayers.
Yeah, that's a 60-minute conversation as far as the way the capacity market is done. What I will tell you is under Kentucky law, we have to have as much generation as we have people that want it. So the idea that the capacity market becoming an issue for us is a lot less issue for us than it is for, say, Pennsylvania, which has no generation left in the state. What we're doing with the Public Service Commission is making sure that we have assets on the ground, steel on Kentucky soil, that will be generating power necessary for the load that we have on our system.
Anybody else?
I'd like to answer the 2 other questions.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Why is the land sold so cheaply?
I think you gotta look at what property values are. If
Well,
you,
fine farmland is fine farmland. When you do homes for real estate, you do let properties, not your home. Sir, I have a background in construction. Commercial construction. And I am telling you that they have lived up to the law.
what I will tell you is that I do economic development in 87 counties. I've been doing it for 35 years. Prior to working for the co-ops, I did it for the state of Kentucky. The prices that we're seeing right now for property owners in Mason County exceed 95% of the counties in the state.
Anybody else? Be anything, first response, more questions, anything?
I would say I have a drastic concern with property value. People worry about property value going down. And I have a concern with property value in Mason County away from the data center being very high. That's a concern specifically. I mean, let's say we're displacing, 30 and you've got 30 instant multi-millionaires that want to stay in the county. What's that do to land prices in other areas of the county? I mean, there will be no one else able to afford an acreage in the county other than folks that have been
But if your land prices go up, I mean, that's a good thing, right?
If you're away from the data center, if you have land,
Go down to nothing.
if you're right next to a government,
To nothing. My land is nothing.
thing is your underlying asset, the value of your land is going up. I mean, with
For
zoning,
tax purposes, probably.
in Mason County.
If you've got it, I think it's great. If you don't have it,
If it's ag, it's just back to $430 an acre.
So, one word I haven't heard tonight is moratorium. And that's what I'm going to ask you about. And Tyler and Don, thank you for coming out to a semi-hostile environment. You know, you share some proclivities to someone here. So, but what David French mentioned when he went to the meeting is that in parts of the country where a data center was successful is where the community had time to evaluate and put in heavy regulations. And I know just from talking to people in this group that they have asked the court for a moratorium on this project until more research can be done and we can write some really good regulations. And I think that word moratorium has been met with a lot of opposition. And so if you'd like to speak to that, you're welcome to.
Sure, I'll speak to that. You know, look, again, this is what I consider to be a unicorn project. The project's gonna come in, basically pay for everything, electric generation, all any water needs, anything, bring a lot of jobs. Bring a lot of jobs. I'm truly convinced, I'm born and raised here in Mason County. You know, we'll never do something that would hurt our area, but I'm also convinced that we continue to battle this urban and rural divide here in Kentucky. And if we sit back and do nothing, no matter how many KPIs Tyler and I bring in, how many viral flights Tyler and I bring in, you know, we're never, you know, even with the incredible success we've seen, you know, the last 10, 12 years in activity and new projects, you know, we're still losing population. We're still losing population. And so lastly, I would say, I'm convinced this is the apex of the industry. And I'm also convinced if we say moratorium, then yeah, they probably do go down the road. They probably do go somewhere else.
But it shows how much you care about us if you do slow it down. You know, it shows that you care, and it shows us that you want to do the right thing. And that will help heal this community. Did Amazon just release information of getting rid of several thousand jobs? Okay.
So all the jobs go to staff and very quickly. Their goal is to actually get rid of 600,000 employees. And it's not just them. There's an article I thought I seen earlier today. It's every major company in the United States, Ford, whoever you can think of, they want to get rid of their employees and replace them with AI. The ultimate goal for it is to really have dark factories. Now, China has those. They're fully automated. No one works there. Who does that? Someone over here? No, right here. Yeah, there.
I just want to make some comments. I've read articles, I've seen some comments about comparing this data center campus to like a college campus, which I think is just absurd. A college is for humans, it's human-centered. A data center campus is for computers, it's for AI. It's not for people, it's not a meeting place. A cantina is not going to make it better. And then I'd like to also add, I see comments a lot on Facebook about how if we had Panda Express or if we had Panera Bread, we'd be a great town. Oh, but we don't have those. Maybe this data center will bring those. But what I understand, I've lived a lot of places. I'll tell you all about my history if you want to know. I'll announce it in my 2 minutes. But I've been places, I've seen things, I've traveled, and what makes Mason County special is that it doesn't look like every cookie cutter town. It's not one of these places of nowhere. It has real history, real character, real architecture, and for it. And I just think there's one naivete in our leadership. I'm sorry, but I do. And I don't think that you're using your heads. You're not shining a light on what's really, really wonderful about what we have.
Yes, ma'am, I agree. I love Mason County very much. But also, as you guys can tell, we have water line breaks almost daily. We have a decreasing population. We have increasing taxes and less support from the state and the federal government. You made a statement about it's just computers. I believe 400 plus employees here in northeastern Kentucky is an incredible job. I believe it is an opportunity for our youth to not only graduate high school, but to stay here. I believe it's an opportunity for family-sustaining, career-making wealth at those positions here in Mason. I mean, I hear you. But I also think we have to do something. And I can't remember what the earlier question was that I wanted to respond to.
What subsidiaries are being put in place to ensure those jobs?
I'm sorry, what?
What subsidiaries are being put in place to ensure
Sure.
those
I mean,
jobs?
yeah,
So they say for-
all these will be contractually backed up. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
So they're gonna bring people with them, now, it's not gonna be our people right there.
Electricians and HVAC.
But after it's built, it's still gonna have 400 jobs there in one data center.
That's all that matters. That's all that matters. One at a time, please. One at a time. Yes, sir. I mean,
That's all right. I was just wondering why they had to have so many.
one at a time. One at a time.
I was just wondering why they had to have so many acres. You take your reasons, that gives you what, 5,000, 17,000, or 1,000?
Well, it's more than 5,000 acres. So, like we said before,
we anticipate large amounts of setbacks. Just, we know our history, we know what we've had for solar to make something happen. This group is looking for large amounts of setbacks in order to make this happen. It's not just going to be, we're going to go for zoning and think, okay, everyone's happy with a data center 50 feet away from them. No, we're anticipating 500 feet or more from any adjoining property line. And when you have to go around the radius to make 500 feet around, it takes up a lot of acreage. And it's, honestly, we're doing it to make sure that we can make it go through, but also this group doesn't want to be on top of its adjacent property owners.
I'm not expecting it. We don't want it there, because I came from Los
I can
Angeles.
tell you right now that there is no property within 3/4 of a mile of the footprint of the data center. 3/4 of a mile.
You all just, hide some facts.
We are hiding, we're going to give you our strategies.
I think we're showing it that works. Because look at how many people it's gonna displace. You're talking about 400 jobs. How many families is it gonna displace? And just like she said, these cemeteries, there's a lot of these farms have individual cemeteries on it. It's like
And-
no fair
And
opinion about
we
that.
have looked at every property that we have with the contract. There will not be a cemetery removed. There are cemeteries inside the contracts we've written themselves to protect historical cemeteries. They're written in specifically to say nothing can be done to this plot from point A, B, C, D.
We can see you, if it weren't for the trees, we'd be in our face.
Five hundred foot setback, everybody goes out the door here. Take a look at Kirk's Bar right over here. On this property, the back of Kirk's Bar is about 490
share anything, questions, comments?
Okay, so, we didn't want solar farming, are you gonna tell me you're not after solar?
I'm not for solar. I have nothing to do with solar.
Nobody does?
And these guys have specifically stated, given the historical nature of the community, they're not in support of utilizing solar,
Is
or
somebody
wind.
doing solar?
The first thing we had written in the initial agreements was there would be no industrial solar used on any of the lots that we would purchase for this project.
Then how are you gonna get all your land?
Are we gonna do it?
How you gonna feed this thing? And I'm calling it a thing. It ain't been.
I will tell you that we have been approved by the Public Service Commission to build generation plants in Casey County, in Pulaski County, and we've still got to find the location for that. It's probably going to be in Clark.
And we were supposed to think of Clark County? The whole 9 yards of Clark.
I want the ladies guys to notice this, for this project, there's no solar. I know, no, they're telling what they want to know for this project, not what's probably coming to the next project.
I know people have been approached by solar. I know this. I mean, I know this.
And there's a lot of merchant solar slants out there, but they've gotta have somebody who's gonna buy the solar, and I can tell you, we're not in the market to buy solar.
Hold on.
I have a question about the education. I saw where the data center was gonna pay, our local education department over $100,000 a year, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, when they get that, they have to make, if the education department accepts that money, that means they will not be able to get any more grants in the state of Kentucky. The money that they get has to be used. That money, if it's not used, will go somewhere else in the state. Correct? Is that correct?
What is what correct? The state assistance? No, absolutely. There are school systems in the state that don't take, state assistance. If your property investments are 150% of the norm in the state of Kentucky, they receive nothing from the state. Just on the amount of electricity sold in the state of Kentucky, 3% automatically goes to the school system. And so, yeah, basically they lose $2.2 million in state assistance, but they're going to gain 5-6 times that just on the electricity.
You guys were talking about solar. When I was at the governor's conference, I was approached by a solar company. It was the solar company that was there. There was a solar company at the governor's conference when I was there. They're looking to purchase 50 acres across from Southern States right now. Is that in relation to any of this that's going on? They're talking about having a substation across from Southern States.
So 2 points, one that's inside city limits, so they're not even allowed to do that. If it's across 5T Harbor, you know what I mean?
That's what they told me.
And 2, you've got solar developers out there all the time trying to put together or hold together, the project.
Well, they said one of the issues they would probably run across would be planning and zoning in the area. But they've already talked to the landowner and they were already locating in that 50 acres there. But they weren't planning on expanding or anything. I just didn't know if it had anything to do with what was going on.
And also, like when you do a lot of these solar leases, a lot of times they're not documented at the courthouse, but ultimately you could lease for llamas. And so, but until you've got a llama market or somebody willing to take your llamas,
you don't have much of a project.
All right, anybody else?
Guys, I'll say thank you for letting us come out and sit with you this evening. Appreciate it.
All right, so no one's got anything else, I'll do my little bit of time for my public comment. I wanted to just share some information and everything. I'll hold my phone up here, just so you guys know I'm not cheating anybody. But, well, my public comment, just to share, I won't share the location I went to, but I finally did go to a data center yesterday. Drove, altogether, round trip, up and back, 12 hours, give or take. And I will say this particular one I went to, ginormous and hilariously enough, it's exactly the same power needs that this particular project needs, almost to a T. Exactly 2.2 gigawatts. Got up there, of course it was dark. I wanted to see the light pollution issue because I was thinking about it driving up there. I'm like, never want to see what it's like at night. It's actually pretty freaking bright. Stupidly bright. The only silver lining that this location has, because their community of 1,900 people, they didn't want it. They can believe that they're county people, they're city people. They didn't care. That's their own words, not mine. The only thing that was good, it was put in an industrial zone that already existed. That solves one issue right there off the bat. Already industrial. But the thing about this facility, of course it was still being built, partially operational and everything. There was a constant hum that we couldn't identify where it was driving around. I'd say that we were on this one county road that got closed. The company took it over, they closed it and everything. And we were able to go around the back end of it. We drove for about a mile, constantly buildings after buildings after buildings, bright lights, big shells right now, seeing the cooling systems. My engineering mind went crazy because a picture on a phone doesn't do justice until you actually see it in person. I will say that. But the funny thing about this, the community in question, well, they were told they were only going to get one. They're now having two more come, and it's two of the big guys. And they claim, these two big guys, they claim it has nothing to do with the project already there to start with. I'm out of time, but that's not public comment for you. But is anyone else?
I got one last thing to say.
People worry about this being the first of many. With the tariff that we put in place, that they have to pay for their transmission, have to pay for their generation, it's billions of dollars. That is not going to be some fly-by-night operation that's going to do that. And when you think about what we're going to require off of this project, nobody else is going to be around it because they've got essentially the catbird seat being next to Spurlock. There's not any more land around Spurlock that this is going to be able to attach to with the transmission lines that exist currently.
But the 5,000 just floored me when all these other data centers are built on 500 acres. That's what this.
What happens if the AI bubble bursts and they don't make it halfway through and they abandon? Do we have a decommissioning plan?
Yes, we do.
Please tell me you do.
Yes, we do.
That is part of the agreement that is ours, is that if we end up building this power for them, then we also said that they have to take down the sites totally back to the original appearance, even from the soil side of it. So yes, we are thinking about that too. But I will tell you, the contracts from a power perspective, they're going to be 20 plus years with automatic renewals for another 20 years. That's the way power contracts are negotiated. Yes, ma'am.
I want to know an example of where something was built and then it was put back and then pristine on renovation. Where's that example?
Well, that's where we are going to contractually obligate. So there's going to be caveats and maybacks, clawbacks.
Is this just you, the power plant, and not you two?
No, we're working. Yeah,
All
we're all
right,
working.
okay.
We got a little bit more.
What about all of this lady left and they didn't want to, but they were going first? Oh, yeah. And after they leave, then all of a sudden it doesn't work. And, oh, we're going to
to the local community. And they are guaranteed that our electric and water will not increase. What my concern is next is security. Our cops are very limited now, as you know. One police officer still leaving and beg for more police officers to come on board. These data centers are security hazards, from what I've been told by an engineer. And you don't want all this security to occur. I mean, the lack of security. And if these centers are in place and they get hacked into, or a fire exists, we're going to be on the creek, I'm afraid. So, do we have enough manpower? Please.
Are we a target?
No, I mean, I'll talk about that too. Actually, these guys, it's my estimation, these guys are gonna pay more in corporate taxes than the top 10 corporate taxpayers in Mason County combined. No, they'll be paying taxes, yes ma'am. And that's where we'll be able to bolster our police officers, our sheriff deputies, but yeah, they're paying taxes for free. Yes, ma'am.
Who are these guys?
Oh, sorry.
Who are these guys?
The police, our police? Oh, they're a global top 10 company that is US based.
They don't have a name?
They do. Yes, ma'am.
What's the name?
I've signed a contract not to disclose it.
And you wonder why we don't trust you. Yeah, what's that name?
Yeah. All right. Okay, I want to thank everybody for coming out, but we gotta get the building closed up here. Thank you guys for coming. Everyone have a drive, safe drive home.